Yeah, indeed, we are. Yes, a repeat of what happened last week, of course, with the server issues. But all is well. All has been resolved, and we should get another crack at it. And I'm sure the drivers want another crack at it as well. I'm looking at the times; they're a lot quicker. Configuration, of course, is the Grand Prix layout, consisting of the 11 corners with the inner loop, the outer loop, and of course the boot section as well. So not your usual one you would see for NASCAR, of course, a 3.4-mile circuit. A fantastic layout and a track that personally I've had a lot of experience around because I've done a 24-hour sim race around here with Simply Race, and it was a challenging circuit for 24 hours, but I'm sure in a sprint race with lots of other very eager drivers, it's I can imagine it's quite a challenge in itself as well.
Yeah, it's we saw last week that the BMW settled down really well there. I'm not saying they're easy to drive, but they seem very, very suited to this circuit. And the setup it's all about setup here. The undulations and the abrasive circuit. It's a wonderful place to go race, and I'm just jealous I'm not in a sim with them.
Indeed. Well, qualifying is about to get underway, so we will be heading towards it in just a moment, but let's have a look at what it's like to take a lap round here with thanks to James Merrill from MSL.
Hi there, I'm James Merrills, driving the number 88 MSL Motorsport Consultancy Porsche Cayman, and I'm back again with another hot lap video. This time we're at Watkins Glen, which is one of my favourite circuits. Like a lot of American circuits, it's a little bit of a roller coaster with lots of quick corners and elevation changes, and it's generally just a really satisfying track to get right. Speaking of elevation changes, the hill right here is really quite steep, so you might notice that I'm letting the car hang on to the gear a little bit longer, just so that we can clear the steepest part of the climb, and that way we can carry as much speed as possible onto the straight. The Porsche Cayman has really tall gear ratios, so straights like this are a really good chance to build up some speed. However, it is also a very light car compared to the others in the GT4 category, so you do have to give it some respect going over bumps and curbs like these. As you can see, if you're too aggressive with it, the car will get a bit cross, but just show it some respect in the rougher sections and you'll get through okay. A funny little trick I used going around that right-hander just there is to put the inside front wheel on that rumble strip. It sort of pulls the car around the corner a little bit more, but you don't actually end up sliding or spinning the wheels. This next right-hander is really important if you're defending. The hill on the exit is so steep that you just have to get the exit of this corner right, or you will be a sitting duck to anyone behind you who is on the attack. As you can probably hear, I'm really stretching this gear out just to pull the car up the hill. You do have to be patient sometimes on hills like these just to make sure that you avoid short shifting too much. Trail braking now then into this next right-hander. Prioritise the exit because you will need to carry the speed up yet another hill. However, this hill is mostly a braking zone, so your braking distance is reduced here, which is handy. Again, prioritise the exit through the hairpin because you can really carry quite a lot of speed through these last two corners at the apex, so you'll want to build up some momentum for this bit. Again, use the curbs to pull the car around a bit and into the last corner. Don't be scared of the wall, carry your speed across the line, and that's a lap of Watkins Glen. I'm James Merrills, driver of the number 88 MSL Motorsport Consultancy Porsche Cayman. Enjoy the race.
There from James Merrills, one of the MSL Motorsport Consultancy drivers, driving one of the pink Porsches that is out there, and there it is, James Merrills, who's, look at that, 2/10 up in Sector 1, but a very quick driver, James, both on the real track and virtual, and you've met up with James a few times, haven't you, Martin? We may have lost Martin at some point, so hopefully he comes back to us in just a moment. But
I was
no,
just,
there you are.
I was just listening to you. Yes, he's a super driver. I love his attitude. A lot of the pro drivers can learn a lot from this young man with the way he conducts himself and is all embracing, all encompassing, and quick and getting quicker. I'm looking forward to taking him to the real world racing that he so desires.
Indeed. Here's a look at the second of the MSL drivers, Alex Toth-Jones, in the red Aston Martin. Vantage GT4, again, running well out there. Had a lot more time to practice now from last time. Of course, a lot of drivers being very busy with the real world of racing, just coming back to us after the long break. So great to see the drivers out here and strutting their stuff. So Alex, who's currently running in 9th place at the moment, just getting in a quick lap, but stuck in a bit of traffic here. Here's a look at Maximilian Ruhrig then, one of the drivers who was doing very well in the series himself. Third at the moment in qualifying. And it was all eyes on Maximilian, wasn't it, last week with him and Jack Mcintyre?
We were robbed of a great finish to the first race, but I'm sure that we're going to have the same. Maxi, he's very dedicated. I had a little bit of insight into his the amount of practice laps he does, and it's the dedication. I used to go and kick a football, but I just think he likes to go racing.
Yes, indeed. He puts a lot of practice in, and there you go. Just slots in front of Jack Mcintyre, goes into P2 provisionally. Here is a look at Jack Mcintyre, one of the 10/10 drivers who deliver driver coaching to anyone who is wanting to get a little bit quicker in the sim racing world, and of course in real racing as well. These guys offer a wide range of tuition-based products for you, and rightly so. I mean, Jack Mcintyre and Dave Marshall, two very quick and accomplished sim racers. And to see them out here racing away in the Bmw M4s, just kind of shows you their raw pace that they've got against some of these high-end sim racers.
Yeah, it's it really is fascinating, and it has been the whole from the minis coming through and then doing touring cars and now GT4s. I've learned that the real world racers, and I feel hard of saying that because to the sim racers, this is their real world. But the dedication that they put in, it did initially show up the real world racers that they had to raise their game, and the competitive ones have actually done that, and it's great to see.
Yeah, you do see quite a few of the actual sim races come through, or the real races come through to sim racing and enjoying it in that aspect as well as the other way around. It's just one involves a lot of money, one involves a lot of skill as well as a lot of money. So yes, it is always that aspect of it. But let's have a quick look with the qualifying at the moment. 6 minutes remaining of the session. Rob Butler leading the way. From Maximilian Ruhrig. Jack Mcintyre currently holding on to 3rd place with Dave Marshall just behind. Less than a second covering the top 6 at the moment as we take a look at Miko Rask in the number 26 Porsche, currently sitting in 19th place. Very striking livery, this Porsche, isn't it?
Yeah, you do like that one. I prefer the MSL one, obviously, but but all joking aside, it's pretty calm. And the Cayman is a beautiful car. There's no doubt. When it first came out in concept, I was thinking, it's just a 911 with without growing up. But it's got its own beauty, and well done, Porsche.
Yes, indeed. So. Again, stuck in a little bit of traffic though there, with BMW just behind, as well as a McLaren just in front as well. So obviously last week out we had a bit of disaster at the start of the beginning of the first race, with several cars colliding together after running wide at one of the corners and losing the back end, coming back onto the track. So hopefully we get, fingers crossed, we get a bit more of a calm start to this race. You'd have thought they've had quite a bit of practice now with this double race weekend that we've seen now come into the world of F1 as well, with double rounds at circuits like we saw at Silverstone, which was very interesting for me, seeing as I live in the village of Silverstone, so it was very busy with all the roads closed. Well, 4.5 minutes remain.
I don't know what happened there. I think there must be a football match on in the village in where I am. We've just got a bit of a blip there on the server. Yeah, 4 minutes going to go. BMW is looking good again. Fair play to Rob Butler.
Yeah, Rob Butler in the Mercedes. He's running very well, up in pole position at the moment, 2/10 ahead of Maximilian Roehrig. And Rob Butler was one that we were wanting to watch out for last week, but unfortunately he came at a cropper with a few incidents out on circuit, so we weren't managed to see him up at the sharp end of the stick. But this time around, he's kept his head down, had a good bit of practice, and currently still leading the way with 3.5 minutes left on the timer. Here's Andy Mellers, the number 20 Mercedes for the VRRC liveried team. Again, very nice livery, that one. Very bold colours that it's got out there. Right behind Alex Toth-Jones in the Aston Martin. Again, I think slipstream's quite a crucial one on this one. If you can tuck in behind someone, and if you can able to tuck in behind Alex Toth-Jones, a very fast driver, I think you're very lucky.
Yeah, no, he's super quick. The Aston doesn't seem to suit this circuit. Yeah, I'm seeing the Mercedes are actually getting to grips with it. There's a bit of a mix there. Top 9. BMW, Mercedes. Mercedes, in theory, should be the quickest of these cars, but the BMWs are keeping them honest.
They are indeed. So just 2.5 minutes left of qualifying. Looks like Andy on a slow down lap now, as he looks like he's backed off, running in 7th place at the moment. But Rob Butler still leading the way from Maximilian Roehrig in 2nd place. Jack Mcintyre just behind as well. Those two very close, so hopefully we see another good scrap from them this time around. It doesn't look like Andy Mellers has backed off, actually. It looks like he's still going for it. That looked like quite a convincing run through the chicane, didn't it?
That was a good curb hop there. I have noticed they're keeping to circuit limits this week, which is good. They are there for a reason, and I'm sure they were getting sick of the pings in their ears.
Yes, I am very familiar with the track limit pings that you get from Assetto Corsa. So they pop up very noticeably, and can be a massive distraction for you going into the next corner. But yeah, I'm sure these drivers are very glad about that. Andy Dorman looks like he's on a good one, just 1/10 down in Sector 1.
That's a great graphic, that. Really good graphic.
Yeah, very nice as they're going through. So the number 40, using all the track available to him round this tricky corner that they've got now. So you head up the hill. Again, crucial to get your gearing right. Sector 2, 3/10 down now, so lost a couple of tenths in Sector 2, but still, nonetheless, a good lap at the moment. You say with his previous last lap, he was 1.9 seconds off the pace in 11th place. So at the moment, with only 3/10 down, let's see what we can do as we go on board.
He's in the twisty bit, as I call it. Yeah, it's just struggling, isn't it? The old McLaren to get to grips, because Dorman's a great driver and showed great potential last week.
Yes, indeed. So as he exits the final corner, we'll see if he improves at all.
All right, here's Richard in his muscle car.
Yes, indeed, going strong out there.
Just I would love to know how many hours he put into setting up and preparing for this.
I've heard he never gets out the sim. He's on it 100% of the time, all day, every day, practicing.
Yeah.
And running slightly wide there, and I suspect that will be a track limit. So that's why he's backed out of that one.
Yeah, that was. Here we go.
Here's Constantine Kletzer in the BMW M4, currently running in 4th place, 1:54.434 for him. And he's got Alex Jones just behind, but checker flag is out for qualifying. See if he can try and improve on his time. He won't get another lap this time. I'm not sure what his sectors are this time around, so not sure if he's actually going to be able to finish that lap. So Rob Butler is still at the front. He takes checkered now. Does Rob. Alex Jones and Constantine Kletzer now about to cross the line. No improvements from either of the two drivers. Here's John Cole in the Audi R8 GT4, and he's saying no to that lap and a very late dive into the pit lane. This is Kenny Press, one of only a couple of the Chevrolet, but only one in this race, so usually we would have two, but only the one this time around out of the final corner. Any improvement? And I don't think so after clouting the barrier like that out of the final corner. So Kenny Press staying in P19. So we'll have a quick look at the order then after qualifying, just to see who's going to be starting where then for today's race. There is a look then at the qualifying results. Rob Butler will be starting on the front row alongside Maximilian Rurik.
Yes, super lap from Rob.
Yeah, very quick indeed. 0.4 of a second clear. Jack Mcintyre, Constantine Kletzer, they'll be starting the second row. Andreas Rillig and Scott Thorne on row number 3. Dave Marshall, Andy Mellers on row 4. Harry Ormerod and Alex Jones on row number 5. Andy Dorman and Max Edmondson on row 6. Andy Carroll and Richard Hayden, who's that's fairly good qualifying for Rich there in P14. Paul Lamery and Tom O'Farrell, they'll be 15th and 16th. John Cole and James Merrills, GT4 Porsche, 17th and 18th, and running up the grid, 20 drivers, Kenny Press and Nico Rask, running out the 20 grid drivers. So very tight grid at the top. So hopefully we can have a quick chat to some of our qualifying drivers before race number 1. I believe we're just grabbing them now and popping them in the chat. So we'll hopefully talk to them now. So Rob Butler, hopefully you can hear me. Out of nowhere, pole position. How much happened?
Yeah, look, I haven't had much time to do any setup work on the car, and good old Dave Marshall and Andy Mellers were doing some work, and they thankfully were nice enough to give me the setup. I'd done a little bit of fine tuning there just in the last hour before, but the car feels really good, and yeah, we found quite a lot of time, but it's really down to Dave and Andy, to be honest. I just literally had to turn it around the corners, so they done the hard bit, making the Merc go fast. So I'm delighted to be here.
That's very honest, Rob. That's fair play to you.
Well, it's the truth. I can't take all the credit. I obviously had to drive it round the lap. I probably lost a tenth or so in the middle sector on that last lap, but that was just a small mistake. But obviously it was enough for pole today, thank God, and it's good to be going off the front row. Hopefully I can get through the first lap and the car stays alive for the next 20 minutes.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
To another one of our drivers. Let's go for the man in 3rd place, Jack Mcintyre. Jack, are you there? We're just trying to see if we can grab him at the moment. So he's so focused on getting his mindset ready for the race. So, Jack, can you hear me? Are you there?
Oh, that'll be a no then. Yeah.
Okay, I think he's
Focused.
too focused on the race ahead, which is rightly so, you know, because all eyes were on him and Maximilian Rohrig last time around. So he's eager to get this race underway, and I'm sure all the viewers at home as well are waiting for this race to get ahead. Of course, last time around we had a disaster in the first couple of laps with many crashes, many drivers going off, but we were treated to a fantastic duel between Maximilian Rohrig and Jack Mcintyre, two of the Bmw M4 GT4 drivers, and hopefully we get something very similar today, but with 3 drivers. So, of course, with what we've seen in qualifying and the previous rounds, Rob Butler looking strong. Like I say, he's got the setup and he's had help from some of the drivers from 10 tenths, which you were saying. They're very quick. They're very good with the setup side of things. So I'm feeling like if he can hold on to that one, it should be quite good, Martin.
Yeah, it should be great. Absolutely brilliant. Looking forward to this race, and I think we're going to go over to our sponsor videos.
Qualifying is over and the race is about to get underway. You can see the drivers all lined up there ready on the grid, and you can see there in the top left hand corner of your screen we've got our pole sitter, our surprise pole sitter, who has had a bit of practice from some setups.
Yeah, he was sounding surprised, but great lap, and nice to hear that the guys are helping each other with the setups. Most appreciated. Here we go. Lights all red, and off we go.
There we go then. So we had a disaster last time around with these cars colliding at turn number 1, but hopefully we don't have the same this time around. But Rob Butler going in towards turn 1 is
great start,
leading the way. Yeah, good start off the line. Side by side though behind is Jack Mcintyre and Maximilian Rohrig, and it looks like Jack has managed to get the jump on young Maxi, so he moves up into P2, and the rest of the field now slotting through the field up the hill now onto the back straight towards the inner loop for the first time. It's side by side now between the top 2. Mcintyre with a good run on the outside of Rob Butler, tries to get alongside, can't quite do it, has to yield, slots back into second place. Good start from both these drivers.
Jack McIntyre's on a mission here. He knows he's got to get past because Maxi Roig will not give them a second.
He will not indeed. No, as these drivers start squabbling away with trying to overtake, that's going to allow, of course, the rest of the field to catch up and close up on these two. And again, on the outside, Jack McIntyre tries to look round here. Is he going to try and go for the switchback move up the hill now through the boot section of the circuit? No, can't quite get the momentum up the hill. So Butler going defensive. McIntyre in second place. He's under pressure as well from Rurik, who's also under pressure from Kletzer. So it's very close here at the top two. McIntyre again tries to go around the outside. Butler holding a very defensive line and holding on to that lead thus far.
And look at it, you know, the top 9 have broken away already. There's a gap. Rob Butler, defensive driving. He's going to be exhausted if he can keep this up. McIntyre's all over him.
He is indeed. So as we exit the final corner, we're going to be completing lap 1. And McIntyre looking like he wants to go for a move into turn 1. Very famous for late lunges on the inside and outside, but Butler holding a very good
I think
defensive line.
Kletzer was looking interested. This is great. Dave Marshall is right. He's just watching. Yeah, this is Dave Marshall. He knows how to win a championship, this guy, and he's doing his best despite the ballast.
Yeah, of course, these drivers running ballast at the moment, so they're going to be working hard to hold on to that. A little bit of contact between the two of them, as you say, as they go through the inner loop. Round now this very fast, sweeping, cambered downhill section of the outer loop towards the chute. And again, Butler under some immense pressure now from McIntyre and Rurik, who are out there, and Rurik still piling on the pressure to McIntyre as well. So I was hoping, here comes Rurik with those flashing headlights again. We saw it last week. It's like nothing's changed. We're back to normal.
It's deja vu, and you can say that again.
Well, yeah, there you go. We can see it again. There we go. But here we go. Maximilian Rurik then looking down the inside. Can't quite do anything here. McIntyre still holding on to second place. Who is still remote, actually looking like he's managed to break away slightly, hasn't he, from these two?
Yeah, they've started squabbling, Rowick and McIntyre, and it does give you the opportunity to get away. They've been quite respectful there on turn 9 to that barrier, which they weren't last week.
No, exactly that. So, eyes on here at the moment of 5-0. William Rurik in third place. Rob Butler, fastest lap of the race though, 1:54.882. Compared to the 1:55s that we're seeing from McIntyre and Rurik. So
that was a super lap.
It was.
That was one to break the back of the chasing pack, and they'll be wondering what they have to do now.
Yes, they're obviously they're going to have to come up with a new tactic, potentially maybe working together. You see it a lot in karting, where you'll see drivers working together with slipstreams to try and close that gap. Here's a little look further back. This is Dave Marshall under pressure from Kletzer. Kletzer managing to get past, or it is Dave Marshall who's trying to get back past as well. So he's still scrapping away. So, a quick rundown then after 2 laps here for race 1. Butler leading the way from McIntyre, then it's Rurik, Kletzer, Marshall, then it's Rillig in 6th place. It's got Thorne in 7th, Alex Jones in 8th place, great start for him. Andy Mellers in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Andy Carroll in the first of the McLarens, first of the trio of McLarens, we should say. But here again, Dave Marshall looking on the outside of Kletzer. This is Rillig as well, trying to go down the inside of the two of them. Can't quite do it, stays behind. So it's Kletzer and Marshall side by side into the braking zone of the heel of turn 8. Can he go round the long way? It looks like he can. He's going to have the inside line here as they go up towards turn 9. And that looks like Marshall's got that done. That's a fantastic move.
Great move. Fair play to him. And now it's not over. This is going to be a squabble to the end of the race.
It is indeed. It squabbles all the way through the field, which is exactly what we want to see. Very close all the way through the field here with very competitive drivers. And it seems like the driver's safety briefing beforehand has been a raging success with drivers not sending each other as of yet. I'm going to touch wood as I hit my head furiously after that comment, because we don't want any commentators' curses. Here's Scott Thorne, 7th place in the other Mercedes.
Alex Tough Jones is looking racy today. He's on it. He's got the Aston hooked up because it didn't go well here last week, really. But, yeah, in a good place. There's 13 minutes to go, and the guys in front are squabbling. Got a good gap to the back, so he can just concentrate on looking forward. No rear view mirrors, as we say to him.
That's Kletzer in the wall.
That was, yeah. What was I saying?
Yeah, well, what was I saying as well? Commentator's curse struck once more out on the circuit, and that is one of the drivers who was in the front running alongside Marshall and Rillig as well. And that's a huge disaster, all the way down now in P16 after coming together. So a huge shame there for Constantine Kletzer in the BMW M4. But back here at the front end of the field, Rob Butler, his gap opening up to now 1.5 seconds. Rurik going slightly wide out of turn 8. Same with Alex Toth-Jones as well, just in the background, running very wide.
I think he was going for a drive-through there. I think he was going to get a burger or something.
Yeah, I'd say.
That was wide.
Lots of fast food vendors, I'm sure, at the Watkins Glen circuit, it being an American track. So, but there we go, out of the final corner onto the front, straightaway as they would call it as well, even though we over here in Europe would just call it the start-finish line. Straightaway it is in America, but down the hill in towards turn 1. Again, drivers sticking to those track limits, which is good to see. And up the hill now, watching Jack Mcintyre and Maximilian Rurig battling for second place.
Yeah, it's Dave Marshall is 3.5 seconds behind the race for the third place, which is it's strange for him, but I'm sure we'll see him. He'll probably settle for that. It's good for the championship.
Indeed, it is. So 11.5 minutes left, plus the one additional lap of this 20-minute race. Almost half race distance completed already as we go on board with Rurik in third place. Again, just trying to eye up a position on Mcintyre, who's defending like anything. Again, pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw last time, which is with an added bit of flavour at the top of Rob Butler in that Mercedes, who has, again, just kept his head down and flying away at the front.
Yeah, he's gapped them 2 seconds. That's incredible from qualifying. They were very, very close, but whatever he's done with the setup, he needs to buy the guys a big beer.
Yes, I think a beer is in order towards the guys who provided that setup, because it's definitely working here at the Watkins Glen circuit. As we have a little look a little further back in the field, here's Nico Rask in the Porsche, running in 15th place. He's got Paul Lamery just in front. James Merrills as well, just in front as well. Here's a look back from Alex Toth-Jones' Aston Martin. He has got Scott Thorne just behind in that Mercedes AMG. And again, a good start. Moving up a few more positions is Alex, so he's running well.
Yeah, he'll be quite chuffed with that. As I said, it's been difficult to set the Aston up for this circuit, but yep, he's going well.
He is indeed. So half race distance now just ticking over. And as we still look back from Alex Toth-Jones, and I'm seeing fastest laps come in down the board. And it looked like James Mills or fastest laps all the way through the field. I'm seeing purple lap times all the way down the leaderboard there.
James Merrills is he's got up to 13th, and we haven't mentioned it, we haven't seen him, but he's persistent. Fair play to him. He does love his racing. His enthusiasm is fantastic, I have to say. Well done.
He has indeed. So as we go on board now, Million Rurig in third place. 3 tenths just between himself and Jack McIntyre in front for the 10 tenths BMW. Again, still all eyes planted on those top two to see what happens. Here is Harry Ormerod in 16th place, in the number 77. It is a very, very battered car that he's got there. So as he had a coming together with another driver out there, well, it is... Oh, who's that that's just gone?
Oh!
Paul Lamery, I think it is.
Yeah,
Disaster.
That's a shame.
A disaster there in the mid-pack, so drivers still struggling with those rear-wheel drive cars around this very tricky circuit as we take the nice on-board shot here. On board, Maximilian Rohrig in third place, still hunting down McIntyre. 2 tenths between them now. He's got that toe through the slipstream, pulls out, takes the fastest lap of the race as well of a 1:54.3. So while they're starting to now close up on Rob Butler, his gap is just over 2 seconds, so it has stayed roughly where it's been for the last few laps. So these drivers hopefully plan on working together to try and ease that gap up, but it looks like the Mercedes is very strong in this first sector.
Yeah, and these two squabbling will allow him to gain a little bit more of an advantage. But yeah, Maxi Rohrig, he's looking quick. Just wonder what he could do if he could get past McIntyre.
I know, yes, we've not seen him in front. Yeah, we didn't see him in front at all last week in the first race. We did in the second race, but that was, of course, a random grid that we saw in that one. No such thing will happen in this one, of course. It will be the results from this one will be reversed, and we'll see the reverse grid in race 2 after this. But still, Rohrig still battling to try and get past McIntyre any way he can. But McIntyre once again giving us a masterclass on how to defend a track position.
Yeah, it's difficult unless you you make a mistake here. It's difficult to get past. The driver in front can close the door. It's not the widest of places. No,
it's nice flowing circuit, and like I say, it doesn't really line you up ideally for the switchback moves unless you can hold a position all the way around the outside. You're not going to gain anywhere with the switchback moves. It's quite a well-designed circuit to prevent you from overtaking in that aspect, but it more promotes the late lunges down the inside, which is what we saw there. The number 7 Harry Ormerod in the number 77, and that was very suboptimal and not the way you would want to get round that corner. So a disaster there for Harry Ormerod now in P16 after a little coming together with Nico Rask, who has now moved up into P14. So again, eyes at the front. This now is the closest that Rohrig has been to McIntyre all race. A little flash of the headlights as they go side by side now in towards the inner loop. We go to the heli-cam to see what sort of action we can see there. It looked like a little bit of contact between the two of them. They both exit though. McIntyre still coming out on top.
Yeah, no, it's positioning. The problem with this circuit, although it is flowing, is if you're trying to get past the corner, the next corner comes up so quickly that unless you do a banzai, it's done.
Yeah, you really just going to have to need to trust your opponent and just send it down the inside. But the problem is these drivers are a little bit too classy for the occasional just send it at the front of the field. They like to bide their time. They need to wait, be a little bit more patient, and wait for that ideal opportunity to maybe see someone make a mistake and take an opportunity.
Yeah, trouble is Dave Marshall, he's 5 seconds behind this. He's sitting there. He's got Rohrig all over him. Rob Butler's going, thank you very much. You guys wobbling. I'm now almost 3 seconds down the road.
Yes, I suspect maybe he's holding up the teammates. It's there again. Seeing one of the drivers going around. That was Paul Lamery again. He's in P20 or so. He's actually being lapped by the field that you could see there. So that wasn't for position. So I think for Paul, that was just a very swift and robust way of getting out the way for blue flags.
Yeah, I think Paul's got a problem with that car. The way that went in, that was you wouldn't do that if you were driving normally.
No,
without
no,
a problem.
no, definitely not. So back here though.
Right, here we go. These two are right at it. It's allowed Butler to get a 3-second gap now.
Yeah, these two squabbling away. It's not as close as it was last time, but it looked like he was going to go for a lunge. Was Rurik again thought against it? Is he listening to the stream? So here is Scott Thorne. And, is he in between? No, he's got a very poorly car there. Yeah, he looks like he's had a coming together with the wall.
Yeah, the steering wheel at 1 o'clock doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go really in a straight line, but he's yeah, I love these graphics, the fact that it can actually, it doesn't take them out, but it just shows you that it does affect them.
Yeah, it does. Looks like a little bit of a mistake there from Rurik in third place. That gap has opened up quite a bit now, just under 9/10 of a second between the two now in second and third. So Maximilian Rurik struggling there with the car. Of course, with the weight penalties that are added on, Mcintyre has got the lighter weight car of ballast. There's of course no weight or points or anything transferred over to last time, so the weights are still the same as what we saw last time out, so nothing has changed. So drivers struggling slightly with the weight, and of course with that tyre wear that's coming out, maybe Maximilian Rurik has just been pushing that car a little bit too much as Rob Butler sets another new fastest lap of the race. Here's Constantine Kletzer, 15th place. He's got Miko Rask just in front. He's looking to try and make up places after that disaster in the first few moments of the lap, but just 2.5 minutes left on the timer. But wanting to get past ASAP, I suspect.
Yeah, he's in a hurry. Yeah, the Porsches have almost in a, they are midfield on their own, but looks like Rask is going to lose the place here. Yeah, that should be a job done.
Well, let's see into the braking zone. Has Kletzer got enough to stop that big BMW before running wide? Yes, he can. Nicely timed, nicely judged. And Nico Rask as well, holding on to that one, just slotting back behind. We take to lose that one spot there as well. Here's Andy Mellers, 7th place. He's got Alex Jones just in front.
Yeah, it looks like he's hell-bent on spoiling the MSL party here. He's lining up Alex, but Alex needs to make that car wide.
He does indeed, and Aston Martin, though, still very quick around here. Nice in the corners and fast down the straights, but again, still under pressure, though, from the Mercedes of Andy Mellers. As they head through turn number 8, up the hill now into the very tricky turn 9. It's a very tight corner. It's a very misleading corner. It invites you in at a very fast speed, and then it can spit you out into that Armco barrier.
Yeah, then it just turns left, which is something the Americans don't like. Corners.
No. Yes, but as they head through now onto the final corner. Nice cambered right-hand bend onto the start-finish straight. 35 seconds remaining on the clock, so the race leaders will be heading round to receive the last lap board. It is, of course, plus the one additional lap this time around. But Andy Mellers, as we go on board up the hill now, we'll just see what sort of gap we can close up here. Let's see how the slipstream can affect the cars as they head onto the back straight now. Tucks in, gets the toe, starts to work in now. You can see it's slowly starting to pull the car in, and then under braking in towards the chicane. Not trying to take too much cover. You just see how much quicker the Aston is through there.
Yeah, that was a great line from Alex there. He's just, yeah, there you go. It's stepping wide on him, and it's giving Carroll the chance, or Mellers the chance, to eke that few tantalising hundreds back on him.
Yes, indeed. Now, as we go outboard, the timer clicks to 0. So the last lap board will be going out to Andy Mellers this time, who is, or Rob Butler, I should say, who is just going around the penultimate couple of corners through turn 9 into turn 10.
Yeah, he's pulled 4 seconds. That's a great drive from Rob Butler.
Indeed, here's now on the main screen the battle for second place, Maximilian Roehrig and Jack Mcintyre, who again have managed to close back up to each other. So across the line goes Rob Butler.
Well,
the final time.
Maxi's just got to send it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Looks like he was slightly outbraked himself there, running wide, went in a little bit deep as well. So that's opened up that gap, which is not ideal, because of course you want to be as close to your opponent as possible when you enter the back straight. So as we go split screen here now, we see your race leader in the bottom left-hand corner of Rob Butler in the Mercedes. The battle for second place still fierce as ever on the top left-hand side of the screen.
Here we go. He's just lining him up. He's just putting every sinew into this now.
He is indeed, as they head down the chute of turn 6 now in towards the toe. This being a very common corner for overtakes. Again, he's just not close enough, is he? He had a great attempt earlier on. He made a couple of mistakes and he's had to stay behind. And of course, with the reverse grid that we'll see this group of 3 at the back of the grid. But of course, they will be one in front of the other. So as they exit now.
Yeah, that's it. Job done. There's no overtaking opportunities here now.
There is not.
Unless there's a mistake.
Unless there's a mistake and a very
on this corner. Yeah.
or a very opportunistic move. But we don't see one through those final corners. But out or into the final bend does come Rob Butler, who is going to take his first win of the GT4 eSeries, sponsored by MSL, across the line, and takes the fastest lap of the race for good measure as well. And that's an excellent running from Rob Butler. Mcintyre holds on to second place. Maximilian Roehrig crossing the line in P3. Dave Marshall crossing in 4th. Then it's Alice Rillig and Alex Toth-Jones, who is under pressure from Andy Mellers still, but crosses the line in 6th place. Andy Mellers in 7th.
Good drive, Alex. Good drive. Yes, that was stonking up front.
Very good little paddle at the front here. Again, a little look further back. Scott Thorne going to finish in 10th place. Tom O'Farrell just behind in 11th. Richard Hayden's moved up a couple of positions. He's moved up into P12. Not seen much of him in this race. He's kept his head down, his nose clean, and just got to the end. Constantine Kletzer crossing the line in P14. Just behind is Miko Rask and Harry Oromod, who had a bit of trouble earlier on. Here is Kenny Press. Oh, this is John Cole, sorry. Kenny Press crosses the line in 17th place. Max Edmondson across in 18th place. But of course, John with a, I believe, slightly damaged car, just limping back to the checker flag. Go on board. Yeah, that doesn't look like the steering wheel is very straight on the straight line, does it?
No, that's Control Alt Delete.
Yes. Yeah, we'll Alt F4 out of this session and we'll try again race 2. It's not going to no, he's going to finish the race across the line in 19th place. So that is the end of race number 1. So a new winner then in the E-Series then in the form of Rob Butler, and we shall hopefully have a chat with our drivers in just a moment as well.
Yeah, I'm going to leap into the interview room with you. Oh look, our friends from last week are still there. That's really cool. They must have had a good time in the beer tents.
Yes, they've kept the beer tents up. All the motorhomes are still there, with their hats on, with the beer cans at the side, with the tubes going in. I'm sure they're very common in these sort of places. I've not got one of those. You know what? I do think I want one, actually. I think we could benefit from things.
I think. Oh, hello.
Right. Okay, so a chat then with our top three. Rob, again, it was a surprise to see you on the podium, but a first race win in the GT4 eSeries, it must feel great.
Yeah, it's good to be on the podium. It's good to get a win in the series. Jack pushed me hard at the start. When I had to defend into turn one, the BMW just had a little bit more up the hill. So once I could get a little bit of a break, I knew I had the speed to break the toe. But look, Jack's a phenomenally good sim racer. To beat him on any day. I know he's got some weight in the car, but to beat these guys straight out is a good feeling, and I'm delighted to be here.
Hey, Rob, that was a fantastic drive, and don't be so modest. It doesn't become you. That was a great drive, and you just knew exactly when to push, and you saw the guy squabbling. I guess that's pretty much what you did.
Yeah, I knew I had to. I didn't know, to be honest, before the race with this setup in. I hadn't put race fuel in. I actually forgot. I got distracted with some work stuff in testing, and I literally got about 5 laps in. I meant to do a race run, and I didn't. So I didn't know if the front tire, the rear tire would stay on, but I knew it was good in the middle of the race. I still had good tire wear, so I said I'd push from there when I seen Maxi get close to Jack and see if I could break another little bit and manage it from there.
Right, Rob, take a drink of water and get ready for race 2.
I need one, a big one.
Excellent stuff then. Well, looks like we are going to be going into the second race in just a moment. Great to chat to Rob Butler then, and obviously we'll have to see what his plan is for race number 2. Of course, we'll be starting at the back of the grid this time with the full reverse grid that we see. So he, this time, is now going to have to try and get past the likes of Jack Mcintyre, who was defending so fiercely and attacking as well in that previous race. So a whole different challenge for Rob Butler. So, of course, a great end to race number 1. And race number 2 will be underway in just a few minutes' time. But again, a quick look at the full calendar that we see on this one. Of course, today's round was supposed to be at the Indianapolis circuit. That's been pushed back by 1 week. So we still have got the Indianapolis race. That will be taking place on the 6th. Silverstone GP, that will be taking place on the 13th. The Monza round will be taking place on the 20th of October. And then the Nordschleife on the 27th. And the Le Mans layout will be taking place I'm trying to work out the maths of when it would be. So if it's the 27th, the next week for that one will be, take your time, the 3rd. The 3rd of November is when that race will be on. And a quick look at the prizes as well. First place, of course, taking home that very nice set of OBP Esports pedals. I've had a nice go on a set of one of those. Very comfortable, and they can make any driver quick. They just can't make me quick. Second place, of course, the SteelSeries Artcis Pro. Very nice set of headphones. And you've got the third place prize, 5 months Pro VRRC membership, and that will give you access to all the comings and goings in the championship, and access to, of course, many of the race series that will be happening in the near future. Fourth place, 2 times 1 hour VRRC sim session. That will be courtesy of the 10/10ths team. They'll provide some excellent sim racing tuition for you. And 5th place, 1 hour online pro coaching session as well. courtesy of 1010s to show you on there. So a great rundown then of the sort of races that we will see, and a look at the cars as well. Fantastic lineup of cars, but not all of them being used. Well, you've seen the drivers take to the track in race number 1. Let's have a look at what it looks like to take a hot lap around this circuit. And we had one of our MSL Motorsport Consultancy drivers, James Merrills, in the number 88 Porsche, take to the track, and this is what it looked like.
Hi there, I'm James Merrills, driving the number 88 MSL Motorsport Consultancy Porsche Cayman, and I'm back again with another hot lap video. This time we're at Watkins Glen, which is one of my favourite circuits. Like a lot of American circuits, it's a little bit of a roller coaster with lots of quick corners and elevation changes, and it's generally just a really satisfying track to get right. Speaking of elevation changes, the hill right here is really quite steep, so you might notice that I'm letting the car hang on to the gear a little bit longer, just so that we can clear the steepest part of the climb, and that way we can carry as much speed as possible onto the straight. The Porsche Cayman has really tall gear ratios, so straights like this are a really good chance to build up some speed. However, it is also a very light car compared to the others in the GT4 category, so you do have to give it some respect going over bumps and curbs like these. As you can see, if you're too aggressive with it, the car will get a bit cross, but just show it some respect in the rougher sections and you'll get through okay. A funny little trick I used going around that right-hander just there is to put the inside front wheel on that rumble strip. It sort of pulls the car around the corner a little bit more, but you don't actually end up sliding or spinning the wheels. This next right-hander is really important if you're defending. The hill on the exit is so steep that you just have to get the exit of this corner right, or you will be a sitting duck to anyone behind you who is on the attack. As you can probably hear, I'm really stretching this gear out just to pull the car up the hill. You do have to be patient sometimes on hills like these just to make sure that you avoid short shifting too much. Trail braking now then into this next right-hander. Prioritise the exit because you will need to carry the speed up yet another hill. However, this hill is mostly a braking zone, so your braking distance is reduced here, which is handy. Again, prioritise the exit through the hairpin.
Well, we tried to see the end of that lap, but
here we go. All the lights are on. The lights are on, and go, go, go.
Indeed, yeah. We tried to see the end of that one, but unfortunately not. Great start then from Rob Butler at the back of the field. Has already managed to get past Jack Mcintyre. Not managed to get past the likes of Maximilian Rurik, or has he? He got down the inside here as well, as we can see. Nico Rask as well in the bottom left-hand corner of your right-hand corner of your screen. But 3 wide at the back, nearly 4 wide actually, going through at the back of the field. All those quick drivers trying to get past, and it looks like, can't see who's quite made the best run on that. It looks like Rob Butler has managed to gain the most out of that one, already up into P17. At the front of the grid though, we can see Harry Ormerod, who's currently running in P3, has got a good run now on Paul Lamery. These two drivers obviously having a disaster, or the top 3 drivers having a disaster in the first race, finishing the race still though. Of course, they took the checker flag, meaning they got the reverse grid, so they are still leading the way at the front, and then a huge gaggle of cars at the back of the grid as we're seeing drivers trying to dice their way through the field as we go, looking at Dave Marshall in the bottom corner of your screen.
There's a massive traffic jam there.
It is a very big, expensive-looking GT4 traffic jam, and that's Alex Toth-Jones, who's run slightly wide out of the corner, collecting the barrier slightly. And now he's under some severe pressure, tries to outbrake the Mercedes of Andy Carroll, manages to do so, or the McLaren of Andy Carroll, I should say, and manages to hold it actually out of the turn 8 heel corner. So good little recovery.
I must admit, I'm pleased with that. That it's virtual reality, because that would have been about a 45 grand shunt in the Aston in real world.
Yes, very pricey lunch, and look at the damage that's on the side of that car as well. Yeah, that if that was a real world crash, that would be quite an expensive bill.
That's well pixelated.
Very well pixelated. So There we go then, down into the braking zone then of turn 1. Mcintyre going down the inside. Oh, and Kletzer again in the barrier facing the wrong way. 2 races in a row. He's having an absolute nightmare this weekend. But side by side still, Alex Toth-Jones, Jack Mcintyre, BMW versus Aston Martin out of the turn 4 hill out onto the back straight. McIntyre's got the favourable line into the inner loop, and the same just ahead as well. We can see that Richard Hayden in 8th place is under all sorts of pressure now. Dave Marshall, I think, has gone off as well, and McIntyre with
that was Rich. That was a real cocktail shaker of makes there. That spun both of them off, and I have to say that McIntyre's not going to be happy with that.
Indeed, he won't, and I know for a fact that the man who will be looking at dishing out the penalties should hopefully be seeing another one coming his way potentially after that couple of incidents. But we've seen 2 of one of our top running contenders being taken out in the early part of this race, but Alex Toth-Jones in 8th place, still under pressure from Scott Thorne.
He's loving
manages to slide down the inside of Miko Rust. So top effort there from Alex Toth-Jones, now up into P7.
Alex has got his elbows out.
He has indeed. Scott Thorne running wide out of turn number 10.
This is wild and Larry at the back here. This is just hilarious.
It is, yeah. As all the drivers trying to get through the field.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Dave Marshall down there in 3rd still. He's struggling to get through them.
It is indeed. So there we go. As we see this long train of cars making their way through. This is at the front. Harry Ormerod and John Cole side by side for 1st place. Harry manages to get in front, but it's not the optimal line side by side. Now, there we go. We've tried to see that move happen at the front of the grid, and they've always backed out of it. Harry, on the other hand, has not backed out of it, but they're still side by side. Paul Lamory as well, just behind as well. In 3rd place is wanting to capitalise on these 2 potentially crashing into each other. And it's also Max Edmondson as well, just behind. And Paul Lamory as well, making a mistake, going off, almost collecting Edmondson as well. And a disaster for Paul Lamory as well, having a disaster of a race this time around. But still side by side at the front, Ormerod and Cole. And it looks like Ormerod has managed to pull alongside and up in front as they go in towards the braking zone of turn 8. Nothing that Cole can do, and has to concede, and holds now on to 2nd place.
Yeah, great racing, great entertainment, and that's what we want. I'm looking down. Where's Dave Marshall? Oh, he's down in 12th. Yeah, there's nobody breaking away. This is a great reverse grid here. Oh, look at how Larry Rich Hayden's Mustang is there, coming off that bend.
He was speaking to us before, and I say he's had to do a lot of work with that car, with the setup, to try and get it to handle as well as it does. And as you can see here, it's not handling as well as Rob Butler's Mercedes. Now Hayden goes defensive in towards turn 1. It's going to be who breaks the latest. And
he's got the line, but no. Yeah, that's a great move.
Yeah, fantastic move there from Butler. Well timed and calculated. Moves up another position now into P14 and hunting down this large pack of drivers. Now here's Andreas Rillig, who is in 11th place at the moment. He has got Dave Marshall just behind, and Maximilian Rurik as well. So I'm not sure how that's happened, with the fact that I saw Rob Butler in front of these 2 at the beginning of the race, but and after them having a collision, he's now behind them. So maybe something's happened to Rob Butler as well out there. But
Great move from Toth-Jones, and another one coming up. I think he's sent it. Yeah, he's got his elbows out. Whoops. Spoke to. Oh, that's a 60 grand shunt. Oh no, that spoiled his day.
Yeah, that was some very expensive shunts that we saw there. If it was a real world race, we saw a Chevrolet in the wall, we saw an Aston Martin in the wall, but not the Porsche here of James Merrills, who's up in P5. Under pressure though from Scott Thorne, who's managed to just get past him now. So, as you can see, now under pressure from Paul Lamery, who had that collision earlier on in the race, as we see this huge gaggle of cars coming through again. Lamery with a big mistake, and Toff Jones with nowhere he could go. Collects him straight away, straight to the scene of the accident was Alex Toff Jones, but still manages to keep his car in a straight line.
I tell you, Laramie's been great for TV. He's been involved with anything that's not gone right for him. It's just such a shame because he's potentially had a great day. Yeah, it's just all gone wrong.
As indeed, and that's Miko Rask as well, who's had a bit of a nightmare this weekend around. He's dropped back to P17 at the moment, but eyes now on Rob Butler, your race winner in race 1 today. And he has got Dave Marshall and Andreas Rieling side by side in front of them, swapping paintwork as they go down the back straight into the inner loop. It's going to be who dares brake latest.
What could possibly go wrong here?
Yeah, Marshall brakes latest. Now Butler's going to try and go the long way round. This is where we saw Mcintyre coming together with Hayden earlier on. No such incident this time around. Butler staying behind in P9. Tries to look down the inside here, going down in towards turn 6, the chute.
He's got it done.
He has got it done.
He's got it done, and brutally so.
Brutally so indeed. Andreas Rieling now down in P12. Not sure what happened there, but under some severe pressure now from Mellers, who dives down the inside and almost collects Kletzer as well. And that was thread the eye of a needle between the two of those BMWs. But the Mercedes managed to get it done. The McLaren just behind as well. That is Tom O'Farrell in 15th place, but back here in second place. The battle for second, the two Audi R8s, and I believe the two teammates, and that's Scott Thorne, who's gone for a spin early there as well. He's now dropping down the order, P11 now for him, and all the rest of the field going through as well.
It's not tidy, is it? And it looks like it's dusk there because we can see the impression of the headlights.
Yeah, all the drivers with their headlights on. Looks fairly daylight to me out there, so I think it's as they've been flashing their headlights, they've forgotten to turn them back off. Yeah, so being told by the man in my ear that it is 10 past 12, so it's middle of the day, pure daylight here at Watkins Glen, so headlights I would think are unnecessary apart from to slightly distract your opponent into making a mistake, as we look back from Max Edmondson in second place as they go through the inner loop. And he's got John Cole all over the back of him, the two R8s.
It looks great though, I have to say.
It does look good.
And you know, Toff Jones and Merrills are two MSL cars in this. Yeah, I'm sure Phil Thompson, our marketing and media guru, will be saying do not take each other out, but yeah, let's get on it. have a laugh, have some fun.
Indeed, and just enjoying themselves out there as we have two battles on our screens. Edmondson and Cole. We switch to the one battle. This is Andy Mellers in P12 at the moment. He's got Andreas Rieling hot off that mistake from earlier on, just behind. Kletzer and Hayden just in front, but down the inside goes Edmondson again, so it looked like Cole had managed to get past at one point on the circuit. Slots back, and then you've got that gaggle of four cars just behind as well that looks like Butler. Next on his list is Merrills. So Merrills holding well and doing a great job in P4 at the moment. Here is the recovering Dave Marshall. He's come out from nowhere here after his mistakes earlier on, and who's that flashing their headlights in the background once again? Oh look, it's Maximilian Rurig who's fought back as well, but he's got Alex Toff Jones to try and get past.
Yeah, look at how Rob Butler's got up there. He's just driven brilliantly. Dave Marshall, there you go, great move. He's not finished yet, 7 minutes to go. Top two, first two are 5 seconds down the road, but that won't stop him.
No, it won't indeed. As we see now, he's got past and Toff Jones and Maximilian, or Dave Marshall, side by side, having a good little scrap as well. It looked like Toff Jones went slightly defensive there. A lot of damage to the front end of that BMW of Dave Marshall. He's been battling his way through the field, and a lot of damage on the side of that Aston Martin as well, as he's been hitting those barriers left and right. But the car nonetheless still going. Are you going to have a word with Alex Toff Jones? He's almost scraped the MSL logo off the side of that car.
No, he's going to have to get the paintbrush out, and the polish.
The T-cut.
Yeah, that's the one. Other brands are available.
There we go then. But Merrill's under pressure from Toff Jones, as Butler has managed to get past and is hunting down the second and third place drivers. But the two MSL cars running nose to tail here, defending their positions of 5th and 6th place from Dave Marshall and Maximilian Ruhrig. Two very skilled drivers in front of two very skilled sim drivers as well. So going to be a battle of the best. We go on board here, Andy, of Rob Butler, who's looking down the inside of John Cole into the braking zone of turn 1 to take 3rd place.
Oh, there you go.
He manages it there and moves up one more place. Toff Jones going around the outside of Merrill's, getting it done, and Merrill's now side by side with the two BMWs. It's a BMW Porsche sandwich, and they get through. The pink ham in the middle of that two BMW slices of bread as they exit now onto the back straight, and two BMW drivers going defensive. Butler down the inside now for 2nd place, so he's moving very quickly up the order.
Yeah, Merrill's having none of it. He's just putting a bit of manners on Frankfurt there, I think.
Gets that job done, moves back in front of the BMW. So Merrill's still showing what he's got out there on the track. Takes that tighter line. Going to try and prevent Ruhrig trying to go down the inside. Forces him wide here. It now cuts across the nose of the BMW to take again the inside line. He's going to try and stop that car on the apex to prevent the switchback. Successfully does so. Moves over to the left-hand side again, defending that inside line in towards turn 8.
Yeah,
Ruhrig's going to have to take the long way around, though.
There's a certain amount of inevitability about it, but he's doing a great job, James. Well done.
Yeah, that was...
Here we go. Yeah, there we go. That's all done.
Well defended for as long as he could, but unfortunately, Ruhrig managing to squeeze that BMW past. Here is John Cole now under pressure from Alex Toff Jones in the Aston Martin. And
Alex is fancying this. I don't know where this has come from. This is a great turn of pace.
It is indeed. He's found his mojo out on circuit, looks to the inside, shows a show of force, and actually sends it down the inside of turn 1. The unsuspecting John Cole, who has to concede, goes wide. Now under pressure from Dave Marshall as well, who moves up into 5th place. So
Dave Marshall will love that. Thank you very much, Alex.
Yes.
I think Dave's going to be all over Alex like a thing on a cushion in the second. It's just going to be a great last 3 minutes.
It is indeed, yeah, with only 3.5 minutes left on the clock. This race being as hectic as it's been, that time has flown past, actually. I didn't realise how long we had left. So,
well, I think Alex knows that there's a sniff of a podium here, which is something he's longed for in an Aston Martin, and we almost had one last year. Almost had a win at Brands Hatch in the GT4 British GT Championship, and a brake failure robbed him of that. So, come on, get on with it.
Indeed. So, under 3 minutes left on the clock. plus the one additional lap as we head now in towards turn number 8. We're watching Dave Marshall, the number 19, running in, or the number 66, running in 5th place. 4 tenths behind Alex Toth-Jones in that Aston Martin, who is all over the back of the Audi R8 of Max Edmondson for 3rd place out there in the bottom corner as well. You can see Maximilian Ruhrig trying to get past John Cole, but unable to around the final corner.
Here we go. Great move, Dave Marshall. You've got it done.
Well, has he got it done? He's not got the pace down the start-finish straight and concedes against it. Doesn't dive down the inside. Both the Audi R8 and Aston run wide. There seems to be a little bit of follow the leader as we go 3 wide now, up the hill through turns 2 and 3. Dave Marshall gets the favourite line, yes. But here comes Alex Toth-Jones, who's trying to get past. A little bit of squabbling, a bit of paint swapping between the R8 and the Aston Martin as they're side by side now in towards the inner loop. Edmondson with the favourable line, but is he going to try go around the outside here? It looks like he tries to do so, and it looked like it was a successful move through the inner loop. That was a fantastic overtake from Toth-Jones.
Yeah, Dave Marshall, look at him. That's the drive of a champion.
It's a very good overtake indeed as well from Dave Marshall, who's moved up into 3rd place. Obviously the championship leader going into this weekend as well, wanting to defend that title. Rob Butler, though, the gap at the front, that's been closing. As soon as Rob Butler managed to get past Edmondson earlier on, the gap was 7 seconds. It is now only 3 seconds, as we can see a BMW facing the wrong way.
Laramie again. I do feel for him today. It's certainly getting some TV coverage.
He is indeed, but all for all the wrong reasons. Here's Andy Carroll then, the leading McLaren out on the circuit. He's got Andy Carroll just behind. He's got Andy Miller, just behind in the Mercedes AMG GT4. James Merrill's just in front as well in the number 88 Porsche Cayman. Again, still holding on to that 8th place spot. A great running from there. Here's again a little look further on. Maximilian Ruhrig now trying to get down the inside of Max Edmondson. Can't quite do it. Stays behind in P number 6. The gap for the race leaders, though, with 11 seconds left on the clock, is only under 3 seconds now. And I'm looking at the times, and I can tell you that Rob Butler is lapping a whole second faster a lap.
Yeah, there's
than Harry Ormerod.
Yeah, there's the rest of this lap and one more to go, I guess.
There is indeed. So eyes on battles all the way round the circuit. A flash of the headlights there from Max Edmondson. Probably not happy with Ruhrig's entry into the inner loop. It looked like a lot of curb was taken. As you can see, Merrill's still under pressure from Mellers. Side by side down the chute in towards turn 6. This is never going to go well. Are they all going to get through? Yes, they do. They all successfully managed to get round. Merrill's again defending like his life depended on it, and can't quite hold on to it. Has to concede and moves into P10. But back down the inside, he's going to try and go for a run here, I suspect.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to. We're going to get James out in a car this side of Christmas, and I can't wait to see how he goes.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And manages to get that position back from Mellers as well. So defending hard and still attacking as well as they go through. Here's a look then a little further forward. This is,
look at the gap.
Yeah, the race leader, Harry Ormerod, after the reverse grid start, has managed to hold on to that lead thus far. And as they head through now, through turns number 2 and 3, the gap is 2 seconds, under 2 seconds now, but the checker flag's going to be coming out this time unless Rob Butler can pull a bunny out the hat. It's going to look like it's going to be Harry Ormerod who's going to take the win on this one for race 2. Rob Butler we go on board with through the chicane. That gap now 1.4 seconds, so he's taken 0.6 out of him only through the first 5 corners alone. Here's a look back as well at Maximilian Ruhrig piling on the pressure to Alex Toth-Jones, to which he can't get past, and Alex still holding on to P4 at the moment, with Dave Marshall 7 seconds behind this battle for P1, with the last lap, the checker flag out this time for one of these two drivers as they exit turn 7. They go down the straight towards the heel of turn 8. The gap now is just about 1 second as they head into the final 4 corners of this lap. Through the hill they go. Ormerod still leading, and doesn't look like he's going to concede this place easily if it comes to it.
It's the turn 9, get through turn 9, that's it, job done.
Sign, sealed and done then, potentially for Harry Ormerod as they exit the gap 0.8 of a second. It could be a run to the line, as you can see Rob Butler trying everything possible to gain time, but it's not enough. Harry Ormerod is going to exit the final corner to take the race 2 win, and a first race win for himself in the GT4 eSeries Championship. And a fantastic run out of the final corner again comes Alex Toth-Jones and Maximilian Ruhrig. A great result for Toth-Jones. Dave Marshall crosses the line in 3rd place.
Go on, James, keep him out.
Merrill's crossing the line P10, Scott Thorne just behind him P11, Andreas Rehlig as well, the other BMW driver, teammates with Maximilian Ruhrig, crosses the line in 12th place. Tom O'Farrell crossing 13th, Rich Hayden with another P14 for him. Kenny Press will cross the line in 15th place. Constantine Kletzer will cross in 16th place. Miko Rask, who's had a nightmare weekend this time around, crosses in 17th place. Andy Dorman and Paul Lamory cross in P18 and 19. But Jack Mcintyre, a disaster for race 2, came second in race number 1, but an absolute disaster for him.
Such a shame.
In 20th place.
Well, I've been looking forward to saying it for all the right reasons. Here's Harry.
There we go. An absolutely fantastic run from Harry Ormerod there. We shall definitely get a chat with him in just a moment. But a fantastic end to race number 2. Very, very close. And that's certainly going to shake the points up in the championship. And it's definitely something that we want to see in the championship. And that's why it's been designed in such a way that that we see for this one, with the weight penalties that happens on. Let's have a chat then with our race 2 winner, Harry. A fantastic result from you. Obviously, a great result from the reverse grid that you had. You started near on the front and managed to stay there. A great result.
Thank you. It felt like I was hanging on a little bit at the end there.
Indeed, it looked like you were under a lot of pressure from Rod Butler and the Mercedes, who was closing on you almost a second a lap. But fortunately, because of all the traffic, you've managed to hold on to that one and taking a very convincing win.
Thank you. Yeah, Rob really put the pressure on at the end there. I was just trying to keep it clean and make sure there's no cuts and just stay tidy.
Harry, Martin Jones, MSL here. Absolutely delighted for you. Great drive. And yeah, it was getting a bit sweaty at the end, but you seem to have it covered. Great drive.
Hi, Martin. Thanks for that. Yeah, it definitely was a sweaty one at the end.
Let's have a chat then to the man who we spoke to twice already today, Rob Butler. You're going to have to settle for second place this time around, but so close at the end.
Yeah, Harry drove fabulous the last couple of laps. I was really trying to get close enough that he'd see me in the mirrors, and hopefully I knew, I'd calculated how many laps we'd left. I knew what time he was doing. I was trying to calculate how close I could get to him. I made a couple of mistakes on the second last lap, but I still think I would have been 2 or 3 tenths short coming into the last corner. So massive congratulations to Harry, and an absolutely phenomenal drive to keep it clean, get away. I had, I think, 6.6 seconds to try and take out of him once I got clear of traffic, but I was backwards at the chicane on the first lap, and yeah, I was ready to give up at that point, but I just got my head down and chipped my way through, and probably took some risks, but I got there in the end, you know.
Rob, that was a great drive, and why are you so modest? I do find it quite endearing, but yeah, great drive. Thoroughly enjoyed watching you cut through the field.
If you spoke to me when I was about 17 or 18, you would have thought the complete difference, Martin. But yeah, look, I'm pretty much retired now from racing, so you got to be grateful for every time you're on the podium. It's a different outlook, even.
Absolutely, well done, mate.
Very much, guys.
Excellent stuff. And then a final word then with the last man on the podium. Dave Marshall, you're used to being on the top step, but again, settling for third place now, but an absolutely fantastic drive. It was a tough second race for you.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm absolutely ecstatic with that, if I'm honest. Yeah, it was. Well, we've been struggling with pace a bit since quali in race one. Don't know whether that's the weight, but as you see, there's people running 80 and 90 kilograms also on the grid, and you know, the 5/10 up the road, so we've got something to find there. But race pace wise, we seem to be about on it. We seem to hang with them, and I don't know whether it's racecraft or just a bit of luck with the draw, to be fair, but managed to pick our way through the traffic. And I saw Rob coming up behind, and I thought, you know what, if anyone can go past and make a pathway for us to follow him through, then he's the bloke. So let him get through, and then yeah, tucked in behind him, and I saw Maxi was closing the gap, and I thought, right, we need to just get our head down here and try and keep up with Rob. And yeah, I don't know how much you saw of it, but I had one massive moment through the chicane with Rich, and it was full arms locked down right and trying to keep hold of it, and managed somehow to gather it back up. And yeah, to get third from that was mega. I'm chuffed for that.
Yeah, great drive. Just, Dave, I keep banging on about it, but you certainly know how to position yourself in a championship. Yeah, despite problems, you go for it. Yeah. Love your calculated way of doing it. It's a bit of a Prost job.
Yeah, you know, if you see a gap, you've got to go for it. But as well, I am thinking of the championship, and there was a few moments there, especially coming down towards the chicane. I don't know what that Aston is, but it's got a bit of poke down the straight, so it was all over us every time I got past. And there was a moment where Alex was on the left of us and Rob was on the right of us, and I thought, this is probably one of the worst sandwiches to be in, really. And I just thought, you know what, back out of that, let it settle itself through the chicane, and we'll have another go. So for all it was hard to, you know, give up fourth place and go back down to sixth, I thought, you know, 3 into 1 doesn't go. So dropping back was the best method there. But I'm delighted to see Harry take the win. You know, I've been coaching him with 10/10ths, and setup on the car seemed to be working for him as well. So great for him to get his first win. Couldn't have gone anyone better. And I did a lot of work with Rob as well on his car, so things are paying off. It's turned out the Mercedes do have a bit of pace after all.
Good man. Really enjoyed it. Well done. See you next week.
Cheers, Martin. Thanks.
Well, fantastic stuff from our top three as well. And last but not least, we always like to chat to him at the end of one of the race days. Rich Hayden joins us in the chat as well. Rich, the series organizer. How do you feel part 2 went for Watkins Glen?
I think that was a suitable replacement for last week, don't you?
I think so. Martin, are you in agreement with that?
I was just absolutely spot on, and it was just really nice to see the rear end of your Mustang being really leery for once. And it was watch it back, Rich. You'll love it. Just how wide you got.
Believe me, I felt how wide I was going and how bad that back end was as well. But you know, I love the car. I love the look of it, and I love how it sounds. So it may not be the most competitive car on the grid, but I love driving it.
Oh, that's all that counts sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. So thank you very much to both of you, and thanks very much to Mike for doing the stream. Looking forward to watching back all the action, because it sounds like it was a real corker.
It was great.
It
was. Really enjoyed it.
Was a very good one. Yeah, plenty of action and plenty of penalties I think you're going to have to look out for as well in that one. So yeah, you'll have fun. That'll be a whole day of looking at that, so enjoy.
I look forward to it, and I also look forward to next week at Indianapolis.
Indeed, yeah, Indianapolis is up next week. A very tough track, one that again I've not actually driven around on a sim before, so that's going to be a learning curve for me as well.
I've driven around it in a golf cart.
Oh well, that's
Brilliant.
something at least.
I'd just like to say